What's up guys, Kellen Morgan back here with Inside Out Precision, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new black gold Mountain Lite Sight. So this was a new product for 2020. We've been installing a ton of these on a bow because it's a simple, fairly compact sight. This still has all the features of a really high-end like target sight basically in terms of first, second, third axis adjustment. And a movable sight rail here to get me out to those longer distances. So like I said, this is the Mountain Lite from Black Gold. This is the 3-pin version. Standard, you can order like a single pin, triple pin, or a 5-pin, but if you go to their website, you can also build your own sight, so you can do whatever head you want. If you want a dovetail, 4 pins, 2 pins, whatever, you can customize them. But generally, if you're at a store, let's say, they're generally going to have a single, triple, and a 5-pin. Now, I prefer the 3-pin because it does 2 things for me. One, it doesn't clutter up my sight picture. I don't have 5 or 7 pins there, which in the heat of the moment, it's really easy to miss pin when you've got like 2 green pins, 2 red pins, and 2 yellow pins on like a 6 or 7 pin sight. And 2, what it allows me to do is, as opposed to a true single pin where I have to move my dial for every yardage, if I have my sight set for 30 and there's an animal at 45, I have to move my dial. By having 3 pins here, I have a working range. So lots of people will sight their pins in when their sight is zeroed out. Their pins will be like 30, 40, 50, or 20, 30, 40, or 25, 40, 50. You can set your pins to whatever set yardages you want when your sight is zeroed. And what I mean by when the sight is zeroed, I mean that when I just roll this all the way to the top and it stops, my pins are in the yardages that I have sighted them in previously to. So like I said, that's a big advantage for a hunting sight. For a target sight, obviously, you can move your sight on every target. There's no time limit or rush or anything like that. But when I'm hunting, and I've had this happen before where you're walking along, maybe you're paying attention, maybe you're not, but you look up and there's that deer just staring at you, giving you the I'm about to get the heck out of here stare from like 35, 40 yards away. I want a sight that has a working range like that, so that if I have to just estimate yardage, draw back, and shoot really quickly, I don't have to aim really high or really low like I would on a single pin. If my sight is, say, let's set for 25 and I think that buck is at 40, I'm gonna have to guess how high I have to aim if I don't have time to set my sight. Whereas a multiple pin like this, when my pins are zeroed, I still have that working range. So generally, if I set these at 30, 40, 50, at 20, I'm only gonna hit about that high using my 30-yard pin. So I've essentially covered 20 to 50 without ever having to move my sight. So I really like that about this. In addition to what they've done this year, which is different than last year, is they've added a second indicator on your sight bar here. And it actually comes with 2 more. So you could make 1 for each pin. And what's nice about this is it allows me to shoot specific yardages, like 22, 24, 37, whatever, and still get full clearance out of, or the maximum travel in my sight. And what I mean by that is, in the past they just had the single indicator, and if you wanted to get the most amount of travel out of your sight to shoot distance, you would run this all the way to the top, and then you'd use your bottom pin as what your floater is, basically. So when I say floater, that's the pin I'm going to use when I move my pins off of the zeroed position. And so essentially what happens is, if my bottom pin is, let's say, 40, then my sight tape is basically starting at 40 yards right at the top of my windage here. And then anything past 40, I can dial it down to 48 or 52 or 64, whatever you want to do. But what it limits me to is I can't go any shorter than 40 yards. So let's say you're at a 3D shoot and you think a target is 27 yards away. Well, I'm not going to be able to dial my sight right to 27 and aim at it with my bottom pin because I can't go any higher up on my sight bar. I'm completely maxed out. Now, that's not a huge deal for some people. It's really easy to gap shoot. If I'm shooting 35 yards, I can gap shoot between my 30 and my 40, but it's not as precise as having a pin set exactly to what you think it is. So again, if it's 37 yards, it would be nice to be able to dial your pin to 37 and aim right at it. So by adding this second indicator, what they've done is once I get these pins sighted in, let's say it's 20, 30, 40, my top indicator I can line up with 20, and my bottom one will be whatever my bottom pin is. So let's say I have a target again at 27 yards, I'm still getting the maximum amount of travel out of my sight, but I can use my top indicator or my top pin as my floater. So rather than rolling my 40 up to 27, I would just roll my 20 down to 27. And now I can cover every distance at a precise yardage from, you know, 20 all the way out to however far you can get. Most people are gonna max about 100 yards on a sight just based on arrow speed and peep height and all that. So that second indicator is a really cool feature. Now, this sight does have a first, second, and third axis. So your first axis is going to be how this sight bar is leveled. Then this ring, you match, once you get your sight bar leveled here, you match this ring to match that, and then you put, you know, another, like your Hamsky level on your riser when you're doing your third axis, and there's a set screw right here that I could adjust the third axis on the sight. So I still have all the precision of like an outdoor target sight where, you know, if I'm shooting uphill, downhill, side hill, that third axis is extremely important if you want that arrow to track to the middle. It does not have a micro adjustable head, so I would loosen this, and then, you know, if I need to move it right or left, I would loosen this. And it's got these laser engraved lines on top here, and I would just tap it over. That is a feature that is on the Ascent Verdict, which I'll show you here in a second. But this does not have a micro adjustable head. All that being said, I like it because it's fairly compact. It's not sticking way out there. I'm not a big fan of running my sight way out for hunting. I like things a little more compact. It's got a great pin on it. I mean, these pins, these are the 19,000s. They're super, super bright. In fact, they're so bright that this little cover that covers the fibers on top is actually photochromatic. So if I'm out hunting and I'm out in the sun, it will actually darken up. It becomes like a dark purple, so your pins don't, what we call starburst on you. They get so bright that when you look through your peep sight, they kind of all blur together. It darkens up, restricts the light getting to the fibers, and still able to see your pin, no problem, but it's not going to be overly bright. And then you get in the shade, it clears back up to, you know, the clear, and your pins are bright in the shade. So lots of cool features on this sight. It's really affordable too. This is like $239 for the 3-pin head. You jump up another 20 bucks for the 5-pin head and down 20 bucks for the single pin head. But I'm thinking I might actually run this sight this year. I've had my Fast Eddie forever, and it's a great sight. I just kind of want to switch it up, see if this is any easier to use, or just, you know, I like it better. But wanted to give you guys kind of a look at some of the stuff we've been installing a ton of. We've barely been able to keep these on the shelves because they give you a lot of options. You know, in addition to all that, they have a lifetime warranty, pretty much unconditional. I mean, I've seen guys that, you know, they break them where it's 100% their fault, and BlackOvis will still replace everything. In terms of how the sight tape works, it's a little different than like a Spot Hog that has a calibration tape. This is actually going to go off feet per second. So it comes with like 55 different sight tapes. They go from like 248 feet a second all the way up to like 320 feet a second. So what you want to do is chronograph your bow. I like to shoot 4 or 5 arrows and take the average speed of that. So let's say it's 276. Find that 276 tape, stick it on there, go test it. You know, if you're a little low at your longer yardages, you know you need to go a little bit slower. If you're a little high, you need to go to a little bit faster tape. So it takes a little bit of playing around to get a tape that works at every yardage, but just an afternoon on the range and you'll be dialed in. So I mentioned the Ascent Verdict just a minute ago. In terms of the guts of the sight, it's very similar. It is longer, so the mounting bracket is longer, so you are able to get that a little further away from your bow if that's what you like. Still first, second, and third axis adjustment. This one does not have the second indicator, but you can get the second indicator for it if you want. The biggest difference between this sight and the Mountain Lite is that the housing portion of it is micro adjustable. So rather than tapping it, I just loosen the set screw and can click it, you know, one click at a time, which is like 1/8 of an inch in point of impact at 20 yards. So it's, you know, you don't have to worry about over correcting an issue and then not knowing where you were. You know, you can just click it right to the middle. And then the pins are a little different too. You loosen the pin you want, and then there's a little wheel here that I spin, and it moves it up and down, so the pins are more micro adjustable. This is a little more money. You know, this is $289 because of that micro adjustability. So that's actually the 5-pin head there. And then the next sight, kind of the nicest of them, is the Pro sight, which, hang on, thought I had one right here, but it was another Verdict. So this is the Pro sight. So this actually This has a fully micro adjustable head as well as micro adjustable pins. So that knob, if I loosen my pin, I can just click that knob and it just barely bumps my pin. So when you're sighting in at long distances, you know, that's a nice feature to have, because if I'm an 1.5 inches high at 60 consistently, it's really hard to just hand move a little pin for 1.5 inches at that distance. But with this, I could loosen it, give it like 2 clicks and drop it right in there. You also might notice it's got the dovetail here. So it's a hollow machined aluminum dovetail, super strong, really light. So that gives you the ability to kind of play with how far away from that sight, or how far away from your bow you want the sight. That's a personal preference. Everything, you know, it'll help fill up a peep sight running it closer, or if you shoot a little smaller peep, you know, you'll be able to get a little further away from the bow and get a good sight picture, as well as the precision of adjustment. You know, the things get more critical the further the sight gets from the bow. So for really experienced shooters, it gives you a little more feedback. You see a little more pin float. The same amount of clicks on my sight move my point of impact less, so it's more accurate in the sense that I can, you know, let's say at 60 or 80 yards, you know, 2 clicks when my sight is all the way next to my bow moves me 1.5 inches. When it's away from my bow, it might only move it 1/2 inch. So you can be a little more precise in your adjustment. These, you jump up significantly in price. These are $449, but they've all got the same head on them, more or less. The same pin, same ring. And this has first, second, and third axis as well. In fact, it's got a micro adjustable first axis, which is nice. But anyway, I thought I'd just kind of show you some of the black gold products. We've been selling a ton of them. We love them. If you have any questions on them, please feel free to hit me up in the comment section below or on Instagram at inside_out_precision, and I'll do my best to answer any questions you have. Go check one of these out. Check out their website, just blackgold.com, and I think you'll really like what you see. So thanks for watching today, guys. As usual, remember, precision is the decision. Keep them in the middle, and I'll see you on the range.